YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back together again, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of an interesting video that I've seen some people talk about. One of my favorite YouTubers, Zach Pope and Sean Chandler, did a video similar to this called Most Surprising, Most Disappointment, and Hidden Gems of the Year. So today, I wanted to join the trend and give you my top 5 most surprising films, most disappointing films, and then some films that I think don't get talked about as much and really need to go see. So let's start off with most surprising. Alright, so we're talking about most surprising films first, and number 5 we have Genie. So I believe this is a Peacock film, and it's basically a film that takes place in New York City. It's during Christmas time, and it basically has Melissa McCarthy as a genie. I thought this movie was so delightful, and to do this kind of genie spin on a story with this, and to have Melissa McCarthy as the genie just works so well, and in the New York setting it works so well, and her reactions to present day things, it's a nice spin on a type of genie story. So I really enjoyed Genie. So I was really surprised with this one. Next up, number 4 is Totally Killer. This was a little slasher film on Amazon Prime, and it's basically if you combined Back to the Future and Scream together, and basically it's a girl goes back in time to when her parents were in high school, and it has to prevent the killer from ever killing her friends or whatever that would happen in the past. And I think that it's such a clever film that has all the humor that you want, that can fit into a present-day high schooler girl, goes back to 1985 or something to meet with her parents. There's something interesting about that, but at the same time, it also just has such unique kills, and finds a way to be its own slasher. And I just love that. And even the references of Back to the Future and Scream, I thought that was great. So this was another great little surprising film. Then we have Flamin' Hot. So this is a biopic about how the Flamin' Hot Cheetos were made. And I thought this was such a delectable film, as it created a story that was just such an amazing movie. As it mixes in of me being Latino, but also the stuff of like spice is in part of Mexican food. And so that's something we need to share to the world. And I just thought that the way they did that was such an impressive story that can span so many decades and span so many people. And I love those types of stories. At number 2 is Leo. This is a Netflix original film. At first I'm watching this and I'm like, what the hell is this? We got Adam Sandler as a 75-year-old lizard. And at first it seems kind of stupid, as even the teachers, as she's pregnant, there's some like weird comedy stuff going on. But then you start to kind of get invested, as Leo's actually teaching these kids lessons, as he's going home with them for the weekend. And there's something quite interesting about that, while at the same time it is kind of funny. It's quite funny at times. There's some things in this movie that I can't believe they actually added. Like, it's kind of a musical, but it kind of works. And it's some heartfelt stuff that goes on between all the characters and friends and stuff. And I'm like, this is quite interesting that a 75-year-old lizard can do all of this. And it's so impressive in the way they did that. So I really enjoyed Leo. But the most surprising film that I was surprised with was Trolls World Tour. Was Trolls Band Together. If you guys know me, I had no interest looking forward to this movie, because I was so disappointed with Trolls World Tour. And then I finally saw Trolls Band Together, and it was just an absolute blast. To where this is the Trolls 2 that I actually wanted, where they were able to create a story that tied back into Branch's side, that was still funny, that was still unique and great. And then we also got like some unique animation styles with that, and we also learned that Poppy has a sister, and we explore more about that a little detail that happens in the first film. So I'm like, all that stuff is great. And then at the same time, the soundtrack, while not as good as the first film, still finds a way to get back to the good soundtrack that we love about the Trolls franchise. So easily, Trolls Band Together was the film that I was hoping it was going to be bad, but I had no interest in thinking it was going to be good. So I was very much surprised with Trolls Band Together. Alright, let's talk about some disappointing films. Alright, so we're talking about disappointing films now. In number 5, we have Peter Pan and Wendy. Easily, I thought this was one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen, and one of the most disappointing Disney remakes, as there was so much potential for a live-action Disney remake of Peter Pan to be good, as it kind of fits the live-action template. But it just kind of had no flavor. Even as I was watching it, my sister was even discussing it with me, and she was like, I'm getting kind of bored. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, there was something kind of interesting about Captain Hook and Peter Pan's past, but it wasn't enough to keep me interested. While I did watch the whole movie, it's not really a Disney remake that I have any interest in going back and rewatching. So, it's disappointing for me. Number 4 is Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods, and to me, this was one of the most disappointing films of DC for me, as I had high hopes because I really enjoyed the first film, and, you know, I love that we got this family of team superheroes, and the movie just did not do as well. Like, of course, it has the cool action, the funny humor, and of course, the amazing score at times, but there's so many unanswered questions that this movie has. Like, how did the guy with the scepter come back? These original villains do not work, especially after seeing Guardians 3, Guardians 2, they do not work. And they take all the kids' powers, and it leaves Billy to fight all these monsters alone. And then even when it comes to the monster stuff, it's not even that enjoyable. You have unicorns using to fight them, and it's just not that great. And then you have Billy being dead, and then Wonder Woman makes a cameo. The post-credit scenes are really ass, and it's just not a film that I really enjoyed. So it was disappointing for me. Number 3, It's a Wonderful Life. So this is a spin on the story of It's a Wonderful Life, which is an amazing movie. I'm actually going to be talking about it in a few days on next Sunday for its anniversary. But with It's a Wonderful Life, I just thought this film was absolutely disappointing, as it had all this interesting concept of, like, what if they used the parallel world and they used the kills as the concept of it, and what's so disappointing about it is you don't really care about the characters, and the kills, while they are kind of clever, you don't really care about anything else. So just a disappointing film. Plus the length was also weakened. It was like an hour and 23 minutes, not a good runtime. At number 2 is Expendables 4. Had potential to be one of the best films of this year, but turned out to be one of the worst. The only good thing that this movie I think has going for it is there's some good action in it a little bit, but nothing that keeps me interested. They kill off Sylvester Stallone's character, and even this movie is also forgettable and does some incredibly bad stuff, so I just hate it. But the film that I was mostly disappointed with this year was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. As a fan of the first 2 Ant-Man films, I was meanly disappointed. There was a fun idea in taking the Ant-Man characters and taking the story of Ant-Man and putting on this bigger side of the MCU. What would that be like? And I just found it so disappointing, as none of the characters had a specific arc they were going through as they entered the quantum realm. I thought there was a kind of cool Star Wars-y feel to the quantum realm, but nothing interesting at that, and it felt so familiar that they didn't find a way to make it at least fresh or brand new, to make it at least something interesting to watch. And it's just boring. I have no interest in rewatching it, and also with the past events that have occurred in the past few weeks, this film has no impact, so easily, it's the most disappointing film of 2023 for me. Now let's talk about some of the hidden gems of 2023. So here are the top 5 hidden gems for 2023, and these are films that are basically people don't talk about as much, but they are films that I absolutely love, and I love going back and rewatching them. So number 5 for me is going to be Elemental. This is the latest Pixar film that came out this year, and surprisingly, the box office numbers are kind of confusing me, because I heard that it wasn't doing well, and then I hear it is doing amazing, but I don't care about box office numbers usually. I love this movie. For me, this was almost at least a win back for Pixar for me, as they pretty much delivered on the concept of elements and Element City and the idea of water and fire falling in love together. But at the same time, having the creativity of the animation styles of like that it feels like Inside Out, but also the mix of Zootopia with the world they created. And it's just such a beautiful film that it's rewatchable. It has that Pixar feel to it, and it just feels like one of Pixar's best behind Toy Story 4. So I love Elemental. Number 4 is Love at First Sight. This is a Netflix original film that basically is two people meet at this airport and they start to create a relationship and they start to fall in love, but at the same time, you get to learn about each and every one of their lives. The boy is going through through something with his mom, that his mom is dying, and like he wants to like try and save her, but there's something about that like that's so profound that like even if you could give me on a treatment, I'm still going to die. And even with the girl who has something going on with her father, as she has this weird relationship with her father, there's something so interesting about that. So I found this to be a great film, and not many people have talked about it. So I love at First Sight. And number 3 is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Christmas Cabin Fever. This is the latest Diary of a Wimpy Kid animated film on Disney Plus. I found this to be one of the best Diary of a Wimpy Kid films from Disney Plus, and easily the best of the animated films, as it's not a remake. It's not an animated remake of a live-action film. Its own story, as it's the Diary of a Wimpy Kid characters during a Christmas special. And there's something so interesting about that uses the character of Greg in such an interesting way. And it has a nice Christmas message. And I love the arc that he goes on, that he kind of learns a lesson throughout it, and that he actually becomes a good boy for Christmas. So I'm like, that's actually quite profound. So I love Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas. The only reason why it's on this list is because I haven't heard many people talk about it, and I think that's because it's more aimed for kids, but I don't care. Go watch it. It's a Christmas movie that you'll like. At number 2 is Blue Beetle. I'm very mad that this movie did not get the love it deserved. This movie was fantastic. This movie is one of the best DC movies I've seen in a while. To where, first off, it introduced a character to me that I had even no idea about. And yet, it was able to capture me in such an amazing way, where, like I said with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where it found a way to, where it did something familiar, but didn't do anything unique or fresh with it. Blue Beetle actually did something unique with the superhero genre, and adding the Hispanic family into that genre, and adding something interesting to it, while at the same time having badass action, and also just really funny and entertaining, and also very character depth and emotional. So I thought this was one of the best films of 2023. But the one that I think is a very hidden gem is Missing. This is the Storm Reid film that is the sort of spin-off to Searching from 2018. I thought that these two films are great, and Searching by itself is still an amazing movie that captures really the things that Searching did. Missing finds a unique way to do that, where it switches the girl has to find the parent, and she's somewhat very tech savvy with all this stuff, and finding out the big twist in the end that she never actually got captured. It was planned that way, and I probably need to rewatch it, which I will be doing soon in January, since the anniversary is coming up, since it will have been a year since this movie came out. But I absolutely love this film, and it's just a film that I have absolutely loved ever since I saw it. So I love Searching, and that is my ranking. That is my ranking of all the surprising disappointments and hidden gems of 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.